Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. And get this, it's no choke. It's no choke. The Proteas reached their maiden World Cup final after emphatically beating Afghanistan by 9 wickets. We are on the grasp of history. And I think this is a moment for all South Africans to celebrate as the Proteas reached the T20 World Cup final. And I think it's going to be a really, really interesting one. And I hope and pray that we come out of this as world champions. The Proteas, they, I think, kind of taking a page out of out of the book of the Springboks. And I think for now, getting that proverbial chokers tag off a monkey off their back, and in a bit we'll be joined by expert commentator and SuperSport documentary producer Aslam Khota, who's going to be giving us his insights. I spoke to him, I think it was on Wednesday, when we were preparing to play this game against Afghanistan, and he more or less called it, that the Proteas might win this one, and is joining us via StreamYard. Aslam, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time. I'm sure very, very excited. It has finally happened. It's not a choke. We are in the T20 World Cup final.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Juma Mubarak to you and viewers wherever you may be around the world. It's actually happened. It's a reality that we have to pinch ourselves with, and
in our lifetime.
Let it all sink in.
Yeah.
My initial reaction after the victory was more a sense of relief than elation and celebration, because it's been so hard in coming, it's been so long in coming that this was certainly, as much as it was a cause for celebration, it was just an unbelievable sense of relief. And I'm sure most South African fans, whichever sport you may be following, knowing that cricket has had this bogey, must certainly be very pleased that it's actually happened. And it's happened at a tournament where it's been difficult for most teams. So, they're ticking lots of boxes, and they've come through with full marks.
I want us now to, focus on, what I consider one of the best bowling, dominance that I've ever seen in a very long time. I mean, Marco Jansen and Andre Nokia dismantling that Afghanistan for just 56 runs. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've all been reasonably consistent. Marco Jansen in the last 3 games has found his rhythm. He seems to be that kind of a player, and every time he starts a series, somehow he seems to be a little out of sorts. And I was a bit afraid of the fact that when South Africa were going to face the bigger teams, that if he comes short, then it's going to be to the detriment of the team. But I'm glad that he has shown his promise and potential, and he's actually delivered when it's mattered. So, and it's really been the story of most of the players. But really, the way, as you say, they got to the into that top order was pretty amazing.
And I think, for me, the influence of Aiden Markram's captaincy, I think, it was really, really crucial. And at a crucial moment, he kind of seemed to step up to lead the Proteas really, really well. The captaincy factor, Aiden Markram, what do we make of him? How influential was he in making sure that, the Proteas do reach the final?
Well, I'm going to go into a bit of history here, since we have a bit of time. And it comes to a focus on World Cups. Remember, only until the latter part of the earlier parts of 2000s, we started having the T20 tournaments, 2007 to be particular. World Cup cricket in the 60 over and then the 50 over format started way back in 1975. And I've made this point in 23 years of commentary, that it is always about leadership more than anything, because there's always talent. All the teams that play, players that get selected are all talented. But how you are led is the key to me, and especially in tournament situations. And if you go through the names like Clive Lloyd, 2 World Cups in a row, and then immediately after him, it was Kapil Dev. See what happened to cricket in India after that victory. It still resonates right up till today, way back what happened in 1983. And then in 87, it was a completely dismantled and a disjointed Australian team under Alan Border. Remember, at that time, there were at least 13 Australians, of which 6 or 7 were part of the Australian team that came here during the Rebel Tour. So he ends up captaining the team and wins in Calcutta. And it turned Australian cricket around almost immediately. So strength of character. Steve Waugh in 99, Imran Khan in 1992, the great Ranatunga in 1996. So you're getting the picture. As much as we've had good strength in the character of Graham Smith, 2 semi-finals for him, unfortunately, both of them became a cropper. And now I see that even past the likes of A.B. de Villiers and Faf du Plessis, who I rate very highly, Aidan Markram has shown some tremendous capabilities as a leader. So just think about it. As an under 19-year-old, he wins the World Cup for South Africa in the under 19 tournament in Dubai in 10 years ago, when he was still a stepping 19-year-old. And they won 8 out of 8 matches there. Then he's won every match that they've played here, I think 9. And now there's just one more to play to make it 10, or is it 11? I'm just losing my count. But aside from that, last year when Temba Bavuma was injured for 2 of those matches in 2022, Markram captained that team. And even though South Africa lost those series, Markram's the 2 and he captained, they won. So it's given you a picture now, a nice idea of exactly what this fellow is all about. I know that we're talking about white ball cricket. I'd like to see what happens when it eventually gets to the test level and the day Temba Bavuma hangs up his boots. Certainly this guy will be taking up the reins and the cudgels. So that's left to be seen. But so far, he has done a fantastic job. And whilst all the praise is being lavished on him, I must say that Rob Walter, almost an unassuming gentleman, because he's not played first-class cricket. But here he is with the team in a cup final. The last person to do that was John Buchanan, who led that magnificent period of Australian dominance right through from 1999 till 2007, when they won 3 in a row.
And we are going to be playing India. They've been, to many finals before. They are the ones that beat England, the defending champions. It's not going to be an easy task. How should the Proteas approach this match?
Well, I mean, first of all, about India itself, I mean, they've choked in a few finals, to be quite honest, in recent times. There's such a great demand for them to win because of the money and the emphasis they put on their cricket. Excuse me, that every time they failed, it's almost become a national disaster. So they will be under some pressure. Having said that, they are playing fantastic cricket. They have, and I must say that the last few losses that they have had, my observation was that they've had as close to 20 fantastic cricketers. And when they picked the last 15, the squad itself, somehow they got it wrong there. And then even picking the last 11, they seem to have a problem in juggling with that squad and finding a good cohesive squad. They haven't done that. On this occasion, in this particular tournament, I see that they've got almost everything right. All the gaps are filled. And they look an absolutely formidable outfit. As far as the contest tomorrow is concerned, I've been saying it and I've said it on air yesterday and yesterday evening as well, that it's going to be about the South African batters against the Indian bowlers. Whilst we know that both teams are well equipped in both departments, I do feel that that's where the Indians have been superior to most of the teams in the entire competition, as we saw against England yesterday. So that's where the contest is going to be won and lost.
And just lastly, I think the last time you and I spoke, you lamented the fact that this tournament is going to be very, very crucial for SA cricket. But especially if we win this one, there's been a lot that has been said about the quota system and how players have been selected, and being in this final and hopefully winning this tournament. Just how important is it going to be for cricket SA and how it is ran and managed?
Well, I gave you the rugby analogy that once they started the winning culture and they picked the right teams and the coaches backed their players of color, and didn't just pick wingers because blacks are known to run very fast. So then you pick them for the wings, and they run like hell. Now you've got them almost in every department that is required on a rugby field, and that to me was almost evolutionary in the rugby context. It's happening slowly in cricket. I must say that the reason for perhaps the slow coming of players of color in the white ball setup in South African cricket is that if you think about it, white ball cricket is still in its infancy. And until recently, South Africa, as much as they've tried, they've not given it that much of importance, in a sense that there were so many other responsibilities, and in between all of this, there were lots of shenanigans going on at Cricket South Africa. So now with the SA20 being played, more players getting exposed, hopefully that will happen. The one criticism I do have of South African cricket is in the SA20, they should continue to implement the transformation charter there. And the reason is that that's the only way you're going to fast track black players. So the fault lies there. As far as the cabinet is concerned, I see Cyril Ramaphosa is finding it very difficult to fill his cabinet, and it almost feels as though Aiden Markham's going to fill his cabinet with the trophy a lot
before the president.
Yeah,
good one.
So I reckon that those are the aspects that South African cricket will be focusing on. But I can't continue, or I can't stop emphasizing the fact that a victory here will fast track a lot of all of that's needed for the sport. And I can see it almost walking in the footsteps of the rugby guys. And I'm hoping that, for me, it's the bigger picture that matters. I know that I was under a bit of pressure as well some years back when I said that you need to pick the team that's going to win a World Cup. As a coach and as a selector, how do you want to be remembered? You want to be remembered to win the World Cup. So pick the best team, the form team, and if it matters that you do not implement the transformation for the tournament, then be that as it may, because what was happening is in the last number of tournaments, in fact, since 2000, that you always had a split, and you had 6 or 7 players had to be of color. And of course, I think in the last 10 years, then they added the rider that a minimum of 3 should be black. This particular squad has not gone gone along with that requirement. But having said all of that, they've now come through. They're in the cup final, and if they win, it means that those type of steps that we've been taking over the last number of years. And remember, we've endorsed the charter all our lives, long before we even played mixed cricket or played in the new era since 1991, 1992. We want it to happen, because if it does mean that players of color in general will get better chances to play for South Africa in all 3 formats. So let's just hope that actually happens, because it's almost a prayer that I make.
No, hopefully that prayer, is heard by God, and also we make another prayer that we come back as World Cup champions. Really, always a pleasure chatting to you, Aslam. Appreciate your insights, and I'm sure after the Proteas win, we'll be chatting, you and I, very soon.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
That was Aslam Khota, the commentator and documentary producer at SuperSport, sharing his excitement and insight on the Proteas and them reaching the T20 World Cup final. It has happened. It has happened in our lifetime. We're going to see the Proteas in the final, and hopefully, looking at their run of form, they're unbeaten in this tournament. 7 out of 7. They haven't lost a game. Imagine going the whole tournament unbeaten and then losing in the final. Highly unlikely. They're bringing it home. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be chatting water issues. We have Councillor Rashida of one of the wards here in Robertsham, and there hasn't been water in these parts of the world for a few days, and she's going to be giving us an update on some of the reasons why. We'll be speaking to her via telephone right after this.